Question 3, Mr. Ron Chan. President, the Chief Executive stated in the 2025 policy address the promotion of intellectual property trading and the bolstering of IP financing. In this connection, would the government inform this council? 1. As the Hong Kong Monetary Authority collaborated with the government to launch an IP financing sandbox at the end of last year to assist pilot sectors in leveraging IPs for financing, of the status of the sandbox experiments to date, whether it has considered further expanding the participating banks and pilot sectors. 2. As it's learned that many mainland enterprises hold substantial IP assets in the biotechnology, electronics, and INT sectors, whether the government will consider gradually including some mainland enterprises in the sandbox to lay the foundation for future cross-boundary IP financing. And 3. As the government has earmarked $28 million to provide qualitative patent evaluation for INT enterprises and implement a 2-year pilot patent valuation support scheme, there are views that banks' frontline approving officers are most concerned about the liquidity and valuation stability of intangible assets, whether, while assisting INT enterprises with patent valuation, the government will formulate a clear recognition framework or guidelines for the above scheme so that banks can directly incorporate the relevant evaluation results into the valuation basis for loan collateral. Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development. President, as the global economy rapidly shifts towards a development model centered on creativity, technology, and innovation, IP as an intangible asset protecting creative and innovative ideas has become a key driver of business competitiveness and economic growth. The National 14th Five-Year Plan expressed support for Hong Kong's development into a regional IP trading center. This positioning of Hong Kong has been reaffirmed by the National 15th Five-Year Plan. We've been taking forward a series of targeted new policies and measures in a multi-pronged manner to further improve the local IP trading ecosystem, enhance Hong Kong's capabilities in IP trading and financing, and consolidate Hong Kong's position and competitive advantages as a regional IP trading center. Having consulted the HKMA, the consolidated reply to the question raised by Mr. Ron Chan is as follows. To help innovation-driven enterprises leverage their IP assets to obtain financing so that they can devote more resources to R&D and commercialization, the CEDB and the Intellectual Property Department, in collaboration with the HKMA, launched the IP Financing Sandbox in end December last year to assist pilot sectors, particularly the tech sector, in leveraging IPs for financing. 3 major banks in Hong Kong and their clients from different sectors, as well as professional services organizations, are participating in the sandbox. The aim of the sandbox is to, through small-scale pilot projects, provide a collaborative and risk-controlled environment for key stakeholders, including banks, enterprises, valuation and legal professionals, and other professional bodies to participate in suitable IP financing projects on a pioneer and pilot approach as reference cases for the future. The sandbox will help unlock a new financing channel, thereby supporting the commercialization of R&D outcomes. These pilot projects will provide valuable practical experience, enabling the above key stakeholders to collectively test out the full life cycle of financing arrangements based on IP assets, build cross-sector trust, capacity building, and long-term partnerships, and provide guidance and basis for follow-up arrangements. We're pleased to note that there has recently been successful completion of financing approval under the sandbox, and other pilot cases are also undergoing the approval process. The CEDB and the IPD will, together with HKMA, collect stakeholders' views, consolidate market feedback and experience on the sandbox, and make follow-up arrangements. Banks will conduct approval in accordance with their established procedures after taking into account risk and other relevant factors. It's therefore necessary for banks to have a good understanding of enterprises participating in pilot projects so that they can conduct due diligence in accordance with the regulatory requirements. At this stage, we will focus on leveraging the sandbox to accumulate practical financing experience, and we will monitor the latest developments in IP financing in both Hong Kong and the mainland to make the most appropriate arrangement. In addition, to help SMEs address the challenges of IP valuation, we will launch a 2-year pilot patent valuation support scheme through the Hong Kong Technology and Innovation Support Center to support eligible local SMEs to conduct valuation of their patents and other IP assets, which will provide concrete information on the enterprise's assets to serve as a reference for credit financing. The pilot scheme, which is expected to be launched in Q3 this year, will adopt a matching grant model of 1-to-1 between the government and eligible local SMEs and provide each enterprise of an approved application with a one-off funding capped at $80,000 to support them in commissioning qualified valuation service providers to conduct quantitative valuation of their patents and other IP assets. If the IP assets of the approved enterprise include at least one Hong Kong patent granted under the Patents Ordinance that has also undergone substantive examination, the IPD's patent examiners will, through the support center, provide free qualitative patent evaluation service based on the national standard for one Hong Kong patent designated by the approved enterprise concerned. Valuation service providers may, where appropriate, refer to the results of such qualitative patent evaluation in conducting quantitative valuation. We've earmarked $28 million to support the support center in providing patent evaluation for INT enterprises and implementing the 2-year pilot scheme. The pilot scheme will provide high-quality qualitative patent evaluation and reliable quantitative valuation for IP assets held by approved enterprises. This not only assists relevant SMEs in demonstrating the economic value of their IP assets, but also enhances understanding of the value of intangible assets by financial institutions and investors, enabling them to consider the market potential of SMEs' IP assets in a more comprehensive manner, and increasing their confidence in investing in SMEs or establishing strategic partnerships with them. Relevant evaluation and valuation reports could serve as reference to banks and other financial institutions when they assess enterprises' applications for financing and loans. The IPD had briefed a number of local banks through the HKMA on the active supporting functions of the pilot scheme in their assessment of enterprises' applications for financing, and the pilot scheme was positively received by the banks. The IPD is working with the support center to prepare the concrete implementation arrangements and detailed execution plan for the pilot scheme. The IPD is preparing a guidance document setting out the minimum information requirements for valuation reports provided by valuation service providers under the pilot scheme, so as to ensure consistency in the contents of such reports and assist banks in using them for credit assessment in compliance with prudent risk management principles. We will regularly review the overall progress of the operation of the pilot scheme to enhance banks' acceptance of valuation reports. We will continue to capitalize on Hong Kong's advantages in legal and professional services, seize the opportunity brought by our country's support for deepening Hong Kong's development as a regional IP trading center, and promote more IP trading and financing activities to further consolidate our position as a regional IP trading center. 9 members have asked to speak. Mr. Hon Chan. President, apart from the part about IP financing, the major reply also touched on patent valuation. Be it IP financing or IP valuation, what we need most is the relevant talent and professionals. This year's budget has earmarked $52 million for establishing the IP Academy for cultivating talents. My question is, does the government have any plans in the coming few years to cultivate a certain number of talents or relevant professionals to support the development of this industry? Secretary, I thank the member for the follow-up question and the suggestion. We will look at whether we have room for taking forward the work. Let me talk a little bit about the IP Academy. This academy will be launched by the end of this year. The targets of this academy are professionals from various industries covering INT, creative and cultural industries, as well as business and professional services. The programs to be provided will also cover the use of IPs, IP trading, as well as relevant dispute resolution. Of course, the program will also cover IP valuation and IP financing. The IPD is currently working with the VTC to finalize the relevant details, and the details cover the actual work plan, our targets and indicators, as well as ways that we can dovetail with the qualifications framework as well as the relevant implementation arrangements. During the 2-year pilot scheme, we believe that we can provide training for 2,000 trainers or trainees. Apart from the academy, we're also working on other fronts to train up relevant professionals. For example, we noticed that a lot of banks and financial institutions have questions about IP value, management of IP, as well as commercialization of IP, especially how IP assets can be used as collaterals. They lack the relevant knowledge. Therefore, we have rolled out training programs that cover IP financing knowledge for practitioners in the financial industry. In July, we will organize more in-depth courses to enhance the knowledge of relevant professionals. Also, last year, we rolled out the Hong Kong Technology and Innovation Support Center, and one of the duties of the support center is to cultivate IP-related professionals and talent. Through a series of training as well as studies, we hope to provide valuable information for relevant industries to enable them to understand how they can make use of IP assets to contribute to the economy. So we will adopt a multi-pronged approach to cultivate talent and to contribute to the ecosystem. Secretary, please be brief. 9 members are waiting to speak. Mr. Robert Lee. Thank you, President. It is important to promote IP financing. In the mainland, we already see the technology exchange, Shenzhen Technology Transfer, as well as IP Education Center. These are some of the regional exchange platforms that can promote IP trading, technology transfer, as well as IP valuation and pricing. How can the government work with these platforms to promote the IP valuation system in Hong Kong? Secretary, I thank the member for the suggestions. On one hand, we draw reference from various practices, including those in the mainland as well as their exchanges. However, I'd like to stress that IP assets are regional. That is, various jurisdictions have their own systems and laws to deal with IP-related issues. Hong Kong may not be able to make direct reference to overseas practices. However, we will draw reference from their practices. We will strengthen our ties with various platforms. Under the TDC, there is an Asia IP exchange portal. We hope that through this portal, we can promote international IP trading as well as line up relevant IP-related professionals from around the world. As far as I understand, the portal has already established partnership with various stakeholders, including local R&D centers, as well as tech transfer offices of local universities, as well as organizations from around the world. The member mentioned various organizations and exchanges. In this regard, we will see whether there is further room for us to step up collaboration with them. Please be brief, Secretary. Mr. Tommy Chong. Canada, Singapore, and Korea, there are IP financing as well as credit guarantee provided by the government. After the sandbox scheme, will the government provide loan guarantee scheme to support the building of IP financing market and to attract more tech enterprises to establish presence in Hong Kong? Secretary, we understand that the relevant sectors hope that the government can roll out relevant loan guarantee as well as insurance schemes for IP financing to cope with credit risks. However, we have to take into consideration the government's fiscal position. We have to abide by the prudent principle. As member may know, this is a complex issue. We will work with the relevant stakeholders and members of the industry to explore this. Next, Mr. Wu Yingpeng. Liquidity is a major challenge faced by small enterprises in Hong Kong. I'm glad that the support center has been providing IP-related services to SMEs in Hong Kong. In 2025, the support center has already rolled out 6 rounds of IP-related training. This year, it will also provide relevant training courses. However, these courses are provided online. There are over 360,000 SMEs, accounting for 98% of all enterprises in Hong Kong. Online courses can provide limited support. Will the government consider offering more offline courses to promote the sector? Secretary, I thank the member for the suggestions. As we organize these programs, we extensively consult relevant stakeholders and industry members. We will, where appropriate, step up the offline courses for SMEs. Next, Mr. Chen Pui-leung. The IP-related expenditure account for 0.1 and 0.35% of our trading, and that's way lower than that in Japan, Singapore, and South Korea. And that does not match our positioning as a regional IP trading center. Has the government looked at the IP policies in neighboring places so as to enhance the holding of IPs in Hong Kong and to invigorate IP trading activities in Hong Kong? Secretary, just now the member said the relevant income and expenditure that concerns IP is low in Hong Kong. Service industries account for over 90% of our GDP. We're an external economy, and these service sectors do not rely on IPs. Therefore, exports of technologies account for a small portion in Hong Kong. Therefore, compared to other economies, our scale of activities are on the low side. We seek to build a more comprehensive IP ecosystem in Hong Kong through our tax policies, financing, as well as training. We hope to comprehensively enhance our status as an international IP trading center. As our INT startups and enterprises continue to grow, we believe that we will start narrowing our gap with other places. Next, Dr. Webster Ng. I thank the government for coming up with the guidance document on IP valuation for banks. I'd like to follow up on the relevant tax measures. Just now, the Secretary talked about support for banks. Now, I'd like to talk about other professional services, such as legal, accounting, as well as valuation services. Will the government roll out more targeted tax breaks to further lower the financing costs of enterprises and to further promote IP financing? Secretary, on tax deductions for enterprises, there are tax deductions for capital expenditure incurred as well as tax deductions for operating costs incurred. In this regard, we will continue to talk to the industry members to see how we can roll out more targeted support to tie in with the development of our professionals. We will strengthen ties with industry members in this regard. Ms. Carmen Khan. The Secretary said in the major reply that in the 14th five-year plan, there's mention of Hong Kong having to develop itself into a regional IP trading center. I think among all the work done by the SAR government, our positioning of Hong Kong as a regional IP trading center can be done more. There is the anti-chamber exchange session, and we'll have a more in-depth discussion on this. I hope the administration can address the question about the pilot scheme. Will you, based on our views to be expressed in the anti-chamber exchange session, adjust the pilot scheme? Secretary, as mentioned, we will roll out the scheme in Q3 this year. And before we launch the scheme, we will listen to stakeholders' views. And as we implement the pilot scheme, we will take into consideration application progress, number of applications we receive, and the number of eligible applicants. We will conduct a comprehensive review on the scheme at a later stage to do better. Mr. Rock Chan. On IP related to cultural and creative as well as design industries, will there be a copyright pilot scheme so as to test out whether these cultural and creative related IPs are suitable for valuation? Secretary, for the IP financing sandbox, we mostly offer support to tech sectors. We hope that they can leverage IPs for financing, and we bring together stakeholders such as banks, valuation service providers, other professionals including legal professionals. In a collaborative and risk-controlled environment, we want to test out the best practices. For cultural and creative industries, we hope that we can first finish the first round of experiments, and then we will see whether there is room for us to extend the scheme to other industries. Mr. Nick Chen, IP industry will reach $180 billion by 2033 around the world. In the major reply, the Secretary talked about patents, and I want to know if the government will focus on other IP assets. Patents only account for 48% of the market, and will you look at also copyright and trademarks? Secretary, we have relevant support schemes for various kinds of IP assets, including trademarks, copyright, as well as registered designs. And all these schemes can be made use of. Patent is a major derivative for the INT sector, and they are relatively more valuable than other kinds of IP assets for the sector. We are an INT center, and that's why we want to start with the INT sector in our sandbox experiment. We hope to, based on the actual experience accumulated, extend our work scope.